Many years ago, I remember one of my friends boasting to me about her preparations for the SAT. She told me that her parents had just enrolled her in an SAT boot camp that cost over $1,000 to enroll in, but it would guarantee her at least a 2,000 point score on the SAT. We're both in the 8th grade, 13 years old, and already feeling the pressure of getting to the colleges of our choice. I remember all through high school, my peers working so hard to get straight A's in all of their courses. Their parents hired them tutors to make sure they understood all the materials in their courses. And they'd tell me stories about them coming home and all they had to do was study, do their homework, write their essays, and just focus on their academic success. Meanwhile, all I could afford was my $20 Barron's SAT study guide, online resources, and whatever was provided at the library. I remember coming after school, working countless hours on the weekends as well, doing errands and running chores to support my family, which took away a lot of time for my academic success. And I remember just feeling so frustrated that my peers had so much privilege, that they had so much time to focus on their academics. And simply because I was born into a lower income household, that meant that I had less of a privilege than they did to focus on my academic success, to focus on getting into a college of my choice. So upon coming to college, my goal was to become an advocate. I wanted to reduce inequities. I was so frustrated and I wanted to create equal opportunities for everyone because I didn't want to see people struggle like I did. And becoming an advocate made me a listener. I learned so many other students' stories, their backgrounds, their challenges, both current and also what they see coming in the future. And I realized actually my inequalities were kind of cute and that there's actually much deeper inequities that exist. And so this has driven my passion to educational inequity, realizing the depth of the issue and wanting to resolve it. So I did an experiment, and I took a look at the high school district that I came from, a very affluent high school district. And I looked at the A through G requirements completed by different ethnic and racial groups. And even though we see a huge discrepancy among each of the ethnic and racial groups, overall about 50% of the students are completing their A through G requirements, meaning that as soon as they complete high school, they can go straight into a four-year public university. However, then I wanted to take a look at also the low-income student population, and took a look at a high school district that I knew was comprised heavily of low-income students. And I noticed all the numbers drop. And so about 1/3 of the students complete the A through G requirements. And this brings me to a bigger issue, the issue of the quality of education between low poverty and high poverty schools. Why is it that students who attend a high poverty school have less opportunity and less of a pathway to get into college, unlike their peers at a low poverty school? Some of the issues that exist is that at high poverty schools, teacher turnover is significantly higher. Overall, 1 in 10 teachers will graduate or will turn over each year. But then at a high poverty school, that rate is about 50% higher, and that rate is even higher again at an urban school. This is a problem because teachers are so much more than our educators. They're our mentors, they're emotional support. You can imagine yourself in your high school where your freshman year, you had your favorite math teacher, your favorite English teacher, or science teacher, and you saw them every day in the hallway, every day until you graduated. You walked the stage and you saw them there. They knew your story, they knew how you grew all through high school. But then you think about the children in a high poverty school where teachers may turn over after 1, 2, or 3 years of teaching, and they may not have the same kind of emotional support. And especially if they aren't getting that support at home, it's so important that they have that at school. Another issue, which maybe some of you already thought about, is in affluent schools, we know that there's very robust PTA programs that provide a lot of really great resources for our students. There's parents running around doing fundraisers frequently to ensure that the infrastructure at the school is sound, that the students are provided school supplies in the classroom, and also that the sports teams have all the equipment that they need. And all of these things are great because that means that they're supporting the success of our students. However, in a high poverty school, we don't see that as much, and either the PTA program isn't as strong or doesn't exist at all. And so that's just some of the inequities that we see in a high poverty school versus low poverty school. And you may be wondering, well, how big of an issue is this? How many of our students are even enrolled in a high poverty school? Well, I'll tell you that the statistic may actually shock you. So taking a look at a study that defines high poverty schools as student enrollment of 75% or more enrolled in a reduce or free lunch program versus low poverty in 25% or less of the student population enrolled in the program, you'll actually see that there are more students enrolled in high poverty schools than in a low poverty school. That about 1 in 4 of our children are enrolled in a high poverty school versus 1 in 5 at a low poverty school. And I hope that makes you mad, because it most certainly makes me mad. But maybe what I'm about to show you will make you even more frustrated. That if you break it down by ethnicity, we see that there's a significantly higher proportion of students of color enrolled in our high poverty schools than you see in our low poverty schools. And this is much more than just the quality of education, right? I mean, it is partly quality of education. This means that ethnic minority groups are much less likely to have a high quality education. But it's also about degree attainment. You may be surprised to realize that actually 1 in 5 of our American children aren't even graduating from high school. And that should be upsetting. But then also, again, if we break it down by ethnicity and race, you'll see that there is another gap. And having seen the previous slide, maybe that's not very surprising, but it's definitely frustrating. And so you may be wondering, okay, why am I telling all this? Why does all this matter? And all this matters because I think that there's this attitude that we have in America. When we look at low-income communities and we see that so many people are saying that the people there are lazy, that they're not working hard, that there's this idea that if you work hard, you can achieve anything, that hard work will bring you success. That's the American dream, and the American dream is what's driving our society, is what's driving our economy. However, I'm hoping that this data that I'm showing you helps you realize that that may not be the case, and that actually people growing up in low-income communities have so many extra barriers that they have to overcome that make it so difficult for them to pursue their dreams and to get into college and have great achievements like they so desire. And as I tell you all this, I think back again to my own personal story. And I told you about my cute little inequities and my challenges being a little poorer than my peers at an affluent high school. However, there is a little bit more to my story that I haven't yet told you. I am a child of immigrants, meaning that I am like a guinea pig. I didn't understand the K-12 or higher education system. I was the very first person in my entire family tree to enter the public K-12 education system. Also, because my parents were lower income, I also faced a lot of emotional challenges. And even a few days before my college career even began, I was homeless. I had no car, I had no phone, I had no ID, I had nothing. And my very first day of college, I remember still couch surfing with friends, yet I was so determined, I was so driven to make a difference, to become an advocate, to complete college, and to go out there and do something big, because that's something I always wanted to do in my life. But then I think about how unique this attitude is, and how did I get here? Why do I have this attitude in the first place? And I realized it's really because of the support that was provided to me in my schools by my teachers. I didn't have the support at home, but I did have it in my schools. My teachers provided me security. I felt safe at school. My teachers believed that I could be successful. They told me that it wasn't a matter of if I go to college, it's a matter of when I go to college and when I become successful and achieve my dreams. They believed in me. But had I gone to a low-income school, would I have all these achievements? And I really think that the answer is no. I don't think so. And I don't even know if I would have completed high school, to be honest. And having that realization makes me even more mad. I know I just sound like I'm a mad person, but it makes me even more mad. That's simply because I was raised in a certain zip code, surrounded by certain people in a certain kind of community, that now I am reached my successes, and I'm so excited to go pursue more of my dreams and achieve so much more. But had I been born into a completely different zip code, raised with a completely different community, with less resources, would I be here today? Right? That makes me frustrated. And so my ask of you is to try to change the attitude that we have about low-income communities. We need to try to uplift children to reach their full potential, believe in them. Because if people had known my story of what I was being challenged with through K-12 and into college, I don't know if I would have gotten the same kind of support. But because I did, I was able to reach my full potential. And I really do believe that children who face the greatest challenges are some of the people that have the greatest potential, because they have so many more barriers to overcome. And that means that they have to build up so many greater critical thinking and problem-solving skills that could really translate into something very useful and beautiful for our world. For those of you in the room who may have feel like they've been disadvantaged because they went to a lower quality K-12 education, I ask you, and though it may be hard, to share your story, to share the challenges you've overcome, and to share what made you successful and what brought you here. You know, as an advocate, and I've been to Sacramento, I've testified in committee at Sacramento, I've also lobbied in Sacramento, I've also lobbied in DC, and I've met with a lot of policymakers over my time as an advocate. I realized that if you talk to people about issues, if I just talk about education equity, if I just talk about financial aid issues or student loan debt, yeah, everyone goes, yeah, those are all issues, yeah, we're working on it, yeah, we agree with you. But when you tell people a story and you tell people what it means to you, if you help people understand the severity of issues that exist in this world, it hits home and it brings a call to action to people. It inspires people to want to make a difference. And I'm not saying go hunt down your policymaker, though that'd be great if you did, we should all be advocates. But even if you just shared your story with your peers, your friends, you know, you can open the hearts and minds of so many other people. You can inspire them to want to make change. You can inspire them and yourselves to be mentors, to volunteer, to support your communities, the local schools, and all of that. Just imagine if we all believed in our children, if we all believed that they could reach their full potential, and if all children actually did reach their full potential. Imagine what that could mean for society, the kind of society we could become. Imagine what we could accomplish. So if you just believe in everybody, do what you can to support everybody, give them the same kind of attention and love and care as you would have given anybody else you're close to, I think that we can make a difference in our children and thus in our future. Thank you.